The United Kingdom has rolled out the red carpet for Donald Trump, who has become the first U.S. president to receive two official state receptions. And President Trump and his wife Melania sat down to a lavish banquet at Windsor Castle, following an afternoon of pageantry and parades. But not everyone in the UK has been quite as welcoming.
A banquet fit for a king and a visiting president. The first day of Donald Trump's visit to the UK ended with dinner and speeches at Windsor Castle, a chance to reaffirm old ties.
The bond of kinship and identity between America and the United Kingdom is priceless and eternal. It's irreplaceable and unbreakable.
So, in renewing our bond tonight, we do so with unshakable trust in our friendship and in our shared commitment to independence and liberty.
The US President and the First Lady were warmly greeted earlier on Wednesday by Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge, King Charles and Queen Camilla, before being delivered via carriage to a grand reception and treated to an unparalleled show of pomp and ceremony on their second state visit to the UK. Some 120 horses and 1,300 British military personnel took part, which officials say marked the largest military ceremonial welcome for a state visit in living memory. Later, Trump was treated to a traditional flyover by the Red Arrows, the Royal Air Force's aerobatics display team. But not everyone in the UK was quite as welcoming. Throughout the day, thousands gathered in London to protest the visit, criticising Trump on everything from Ukraine and Israel to his former association with the late disgraced financier and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
It isn't normal for a president to get two state visits, and we shouldn't treat Donald Trump like a normal president. He is undermining the Constitution and democracy and the rule of law in the United States. He is a threat to the safety and security and prosperity of everybody around the world. We should not treat him like a normal president, and we certainly shouldn't honour him given the horrendous politics that he represents.
So yeah, I mean, we're here to show Donald Trump and to show the UK government just how much human rights actually matter to the UK population. We're seeing this, like with despair, we're seeing this rollback of rights in the US. And we are here to say, not in our name. You know, we need to point out what is wrong and also to show the strength of support for human rights and why they matter to us in the UK.
Others were less dismissive.
I quite like Trump, yeah. I think he does a good job for what he does. Yeah, he's trying to make America great again, and I think we need someone like that over in England.
With a meeting with Prime Minister Keir Starmer scheduled on the second and final day of Trump's visit on Thursday, London braces itself for yet more protests.
John Alterman is chair of Global Security and Geostrategy at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. I asked him earlier what the UK was hoping to achieve with such a lavish welcome.
I think from the perspective of the British government, both the monarchy and the prime minister, there's a sense that the country needs to be close to the United States. The country needs to be a bridge between Europe and the United States, that the country has an advantage, which it can use to its own advantage, dealing with President Trump, who seems very, very receptive to the monarchy and to Britain in general. And I think what they're really trying to do in a country where the economy has not been performing especially well, where the military has been weakening, to use Britain's real power, which is soft power with the United States, with this particular president, to advance the agenda not only of Britain, but of Europe more generally as it deals with Russian aggression and other challenges in the world.
King Charles, in his remarks, explicitly mentioning Ukraine. You mentioned that Trump is receptive to this kind of ceremony and pomp, but do these kind of ceremonies, do they have an abiding influence on Trump? Do we see that they bear results later as time passes, especially when we look at something like Ukraine? Could it bear fruit?
You know, I don't know that anybody knows how to have an abiding influence on President Trump. There's a saying that some people have in Washington that President Trump goes with whoever the last person he spoke to is. But I think that there is something, and you've seen it throughout his presidency, he feels differently about the UK. He feels differently about the royal family. I think the pomp and circumstance for him is something that has been meaningful for decades, and that's really what makes him happy. And I think from a British perspective, this is the tool that they have. It's a tool for Britain vis-a-vis the United States, and it's a tool for Britain to help move the world in a direction that they think is consonant both with British interests and European interests. It's the tool they have. They're using it, I think, quite effectively this week. I do think that this enduring relationship between the Prime Minister and the King and the President is going to make a difference, not only in the immediate sense, but also in the sense that either they can meet or have a phone call or something where they can have a receptive hearing for things that I think many other leaders around the world couldn't get a receptive hearing for. And Palestine, which is one of the issues that I'm sure is going to come up, may be one of them. Not that the president will totally agree with them, but I think he'll be more open than he would be coming from somebody else.
Trump does meet the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, tomorrow. Can we expect anything concrete out of this, or is this another sort of a furtherance of that kind of relationship that you just spoke about?
I suspect that what will be announced will be more of the sort of business and financial side rather than some of the diplomatic side where there's more daylight. But I do think that the Prime Minister will be planting some seeds, and I think the President will take them on board. In reality, for a lot of issues, whether it's Gaza, whether it's Ukraine, there's really a lot of daylight between the U.S. and UK positions, and I think the Prime Minister is going to try to shrink that. He's not going to be able to eliminate it, and I think because of that, they won't try to concentrate on those issues.
All right, that's John Alterman, Chair of Global Security and Geostrategy at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Natasha Lindstaedt is a professor at the Department of Government of the University of Essex and joins me now. Natasha, a second state visit by a foreign leader, that is something unprecedented. But why has the UK decided to invite Trump again, and especially to make such an extraordinary ceremony out of it?
So from the UK standpoint, they feel that they had to because they know that Trump is someone who likes to be flattered and likes to be treated as if he is special. And these state visits are definitely a very special and very costly affair. You wouldn't normally need to do this with Obama. There was only one state visit. With George W. Bush, there was only one state visit because the relationship itself was strong enough that you didn't need to engage in this type of flattery. And in those visits, there was also a visit to the parliament. And Obama, for example, spoke in front of the parliament. In Trump's visit in 2019, nor in this recent visit would he be speaking to the parliament because there would be too much backlash. Instead, the UK is trying to focus on trying to get in his good side because they feel that the economic relationship, the trade relationship is too important. They want to reduce the 25% tariffs on steel. They want to have a reduction of the tariffs on pharmaceutical products. They're hoping for a further reduction on the blanket 10% tariffs on other goods. And they want to deepen their cooperation with the U.S. on artificial intelligence, technology, nuclear energy, and on clean energy. And so there's already been an announcement of a major cooperative agreement and investment, U.S. investment into the UK. And they just want to be on Trump's good side as much as possible.
We all know he likes flattery, but is all of what we're seeing going to be enough to really get Trump to be more open to the UK's demands, or is he going to see right through it?
I mean, it definitely helps. I think there is a very simple formula, which many world leaders have been using to deal with Trump, that they are incredibly effusive in their praise of him and they want to make him feel good. We see that Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of UK, has been doing this. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, and other world leaders have followed suit. And they are willing to do this, but also lay down what their red lines are. And so They feel that it does work, it does matter, because when Trump feels he has good chemistry with a particular leader, because he's so personalistic, because he operates out of what he thinks of a particular person, rather than really thinking about all of the other aspects of relationships between states, they feel that it does matter. And maybe he sees through it, but if you've ever seen one of his cabinet meetings, you see how the cabinet members that surround him are just fawning over him, telling him exactly what he wants to hear, and he seems to like that.
You mentioned the prime minister there. Of course, the two men are meeting tomorrow. What do you expect from that meeting between Donald Trump and Keir Starmer?
So it's in such a short period of time because Trump made his visit a little bit shorter than it was supposed to be. But the UK is going to be pressuring Trump on all the things that I had just sort of laid out, on particularly the tariffs and trying to get a better deal on these tariffs, which they don't think is a particularly good deal at the moment. I know Trump has heralded the framework between the UK and the U.S. is one of the best trade frameworks, in history or something along those lines. But this wasn't a great deal for the U.K. It is better, of course, compared to other countries, but they're trying to iron out the details of this and get a little bit of a better deal. Now, for Trump, this is really just a vanity trip. This is really all something that is important to him personally speaking, because he had a wonderful time in the 2019 visit. He absolutely loved it. He loves the pomp and circumstance. He loves the red carpet being rolled out for him, all the military pageantry. That plays into sort of what he likes and what he enjoyed watching his mom when he was a little boy. His mom was born in Scotland, and she loved watching the Queen. So he has this fixation on the royal family. So for him, this trip is personal, but for the UK, there are some real important strategic and economic factors that are at play here.
Now, far away from Trump's royal extravaganza, out in the real world, thousands have been taking to the streets for the anti-Trump protests today. How do Brits generally feel about their government and the royal family rolling out the red carpet for Trump?
So Trump is not popular within the UK. If we look at YouGov survey data, we find that it's somewhere around 60% that do not like Donald Trump, that don't think that he is good for the world. And so, not surprisingly speaking, a more recent survey was looking at, do you support extending this second visit to Trump? And it was only 40% that wanted to support that. He has greater levels of support within the UK Reform Party, which of course is a more of a far right party, and some more support within the Conservatives. But overall, the UK public does not like Trump by a pretty significant margin.
This is Natasha Lindstaedt of the University of Essex. Many thanks. Great speaking to you today.
Thanks for having me.